Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, today's lesson will be continuing on from the last lesson on your journey to learn how to read the Holy Quran. Inshallah, we're going to use this as a guide to be able to read letters that are joined. And notice that in Arabic, when letters start to become joined, they change shape. So they no longer look like the general alphabet letters in most cases when they're joined with other letters. So first, without going further ahead, we're going to go over the way the letters change in a sentence. So first, I want everyone to get out their notebooks, inshallah, and follow along. Now we're going to go over the letters again. Let's go back to the previous page, and we have our letters in front of us. Now Arabic, it splits the letters up in different segments. So let's say the standalone letter, standalone. This is how each letter looks as a standalone, by itself, outside of a sentence or outside of a word. Now we have the beginning, we have the middle, and we have the end of a word. Now, why am I writing from right to left? Because Arabic is written from right to left. So let's start. The beginning of a word, alif will look like an alif, normal. Now in the middle of a word, alif will be connected. Let's say this is the connection, and then alif will look like that. But alif cannot connect to the next word. So let's say the next word starts here, alif does not connect. Now, the end of a word, alif will also look the same. It will look like that. It will be connected to another letter. Let's say, as an example, it will be connected to a lam. So lam and alif. Lam can connect to a next letter, alif cannot. But when lam and alif are written together, they're written in a fancy way. You'll see them like this. You can also see a lam alif written like this. Okay, inshallah, next we have ba. Ba at the beginning of a letter of a word will look like ba. Next, in the middle, it's connected, and here, one line up, one dot below. That's how it looks, ba. Connection after and connection before. And at the end, ba will look like its normal form, but with a connection bit before. Next, we have ta. Ta is pretty much the same. Two dots above, and connection after. In the middle, two dots above the line, and at the end, two dots above the line, and its normal form with a connection. Now I have tha, same thing. Three dots, tha. Next we have jim. Jim at the beginning of a word, it will look like this. Jim in the middle of a word will look like this. Let's say the letter comes from here, jim will look like that. Or another way it can look, as an example, is like this. Okay. Next, at the end of a letter of a word, it goes like this. Its normal form. Now, next is ha. Same thing. Ha. Just the top part of the letter. So you cut off the hook. So let's try that again. Ha. Next, in the middle of a word, ha. at the end, ha. Next, kha, same thing. Okay. Next we have dal. Dal at the beginning, dal in the middle, and it can't connect to the next letter, just like alif can't connect to the next letter. Dal, and then at the end it looks like the same as the middle. Dal and dal. Dal is the same thing. It cannot connect to a letter that comes after it. Oh. Okay. Now ra is the exact same thing as well. It connects before, but it cannot connect after. It cannot connect to another word after. So you have to separate ra, you have to separate dal, you have to separate dal, you have to separate alif, and you have to separate za from the next word. You cannot connect it. It must be separate. Za. Now after za is sin. Sin at the beginning, sin in the middle, and sin at the end. Next we have shin. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. In the middle. 1, 2, 3. And at the end. 1, 2, 3. Now after that we have sod. I missed something. There's a little hook after the circle. So same with dod here. It goes up a small bit and then continues. So same with sod and dod. In the middle of the sentence it will look like this. Dod will look like this. At the end, sod. At the end, dod. Next we have ta. At the beginning it just continues to the next letter. In the middle it connects before and it connects after, and at the end it will look like that. Va is the same thing. Next we have ayn. Ayn at the beginning of a sentence, you cut off the hook. It just starts like this. Ayn, and ghayn is the same thing with a dot. In the middle it will look like an upside down triangle. Ayn. And in the middle ghayn will look like an upside down triangle with a dot. At the end it keeps the upside down triangle, but it gets the curve back. This ghayn has a dot. So ayn, ghayn. Fa at the beginning of a sentence loses the hook as well. In the middle it's a circle with a dot, and at the end it gets the whole letter back. Qaf, exactly the same thing. Now be careful. Qaf and fa are circle above the line. Ayn and ghayn are an upside down triangle above the line. Try not to confuse them. And qaf at the end of a sentence will look like that. Kaf at the beginning of a sentence looks like this. So let's try that again. Kaf at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, kaf in the middle of a sentence will look like this as well. And kaf at the end of a sentence will look like its original form. Lam at the beginning will look like this. Lam in the middle will look like this. And lam at the end will look like this. Next page. Meme. Meme at the beginning of a sentence. Meme in the middle is a circle below the line. So it kind of wraps around. I'll do it again. Below the line and go back again. One more time. Okay, meme. A meme at the end of a sentence can either look like this or it can look like this. So you usually see the meme at the end of a sentence look like this, basically. Okay, noon at the beginning of a sentence will look like that. In the middle, just like the ba and the ta and the tha, it will be the same thing. The same sequence. Now, waw, beginning of a sentence, it does not connect to the next letter. Waw in the middle of a sentence, it can connect it from behind, but it cannot connect to the next letter. Just like alif, ra, za, dal, dhal, waw, all the same rule. And at the end of the sentence, there we go. Ha, at the beginning of a sentence, it looks very different. So let's write that again. So, ha at the beginning of a sentence, I'll write it one more time. It looks like a circle within a circle, and then it goes out. Ha in the middle of a sentence, there's two ways to write it. So first is like an 8, and then it continues. And second is a V, and it continues. So let's do that again. The 8 line, circle above, circle below, and continue. And next, at the end of a sentence, a ha will look like this. So again, that's a ha. Alright, the recording cut out, so I'm gonna have to go over a couple things. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so alright, inshallah. So Hamza can be seen on top of other letters. It can be seen on top of a alif, a waw, and a ya, just like this. Hamza at the beginning of a sentence can look like this. Hamza in the middle of a sentence will be on top of a little line, just like a ba, a ta. And at the end of a sentence, it will be standing by itself, or it could be on top of another letter. A ya is just like a ta, but it's below the line. So here, this is a ya, this is a ta. Okay, ya in the middle of a sentence, 2 dots below the line, and ya at the end of a sentence, or another way to write it was like this, at the end of a sentence. Also, I forgot to mention that a ta has multiple forms at the end of a sentence. So, the ta can also be written as a ta marbuta by itself. So, a circle like a ha, but with 2 dots. And at the end of a sentence, a line like this. Just like a ha can also be written like that. Ha, ta. Ha, ta. Alright, inshallah, now we can start reading different letters as they look in a word. Alright, inshallah, the second lesson. Now that you've seen how letters change depending on what part of the word they're in, let's start reading these different words. As an example, what letters can you see? So, alif, lam alif, lam alif, ba alif, lam alif, lam, lam alif, lam jim, lam alif, ba lam ba, kaf, كاف. كاف باء. كاف تاء. كاف ألف. كاف لام. با كاف تاء. تاء كاف ثاء. با تاء ثاء نون يا. با ألف. نون ألف. تاء ألف. يا ألف. ثاء ألف. با سين. يا سين. نون صاد. تاء ضاد. ثاء طا. ثاء جيم. تاء حاء. تاء حاء. يا حاء. با جيم. يا ميم. با ميم. نون ميم. تاء ميم. ثاء ميم. با يا. يا يا. نون يا. تاء يا. ثاء يا. نون با لام. با نون لام. تاء نون لام. يا تاء لام. يا ثاء لام. نون با نون. با نون نون. تاء يا نون. يا ثاء نون. با ثاء نون. جيم. حا. خا. حا ثاء. خا با. جيم تاء. تاء حا تاء. يا جيم با. با خا تاء. تاء ها. با تاء. يا ها. تاء تاء. نون ها. ها. يا ها با. با ها ألف. با ها ميم. دال. ذال. جيم دال. خا ذا. را. زا. را. جيم را. خا زا. يا را. تا زا. سين. شين. شين لام. سين لام. صاد. ضاد. طه. ظه. صاد با. طا با. ضاد ألف. ظا ألف. عين. غين. عين جيم. غين حا. با عين. يا غين. با عين دال. تاء غين ذال. فا. قاف. واو. قاف لام. فا واو. قاف واو. نون قاف را. يا فا را. يا فا. فا يا ها. ميم نون ها. تا ميم تا. همزة. 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 سين. همزة. لام. ميم. نون. ألف. Inshallah, you can go over this and make sure you understand how different letters look inside of different words. And inshallah, may Allah make it easy on you. And I'll see you in the next lesson.